Welcome to More Than a Few Words, the video version. I'm Lorraine Ball.
I'm Paige Jones.
And today we're going to talk about what's new on social media.
So I think what we have to start with being new on social media is the death of a social media platform. Google Plus is no longer with us.
Not that most people are going to notice. Probably the single biggest reason that Google Plus is gone is...
No one used it.
Yeah, that was probably the problem. And there were issues with data breaches, which are plaguing, I think, a lot of the social media channels right now.
But I think this specific data breach was used as an excuse to put Google Plus out to pasture.
And so, with all your spare time that you're not going to be on Google Plus,
here's what you can see on the existing social media platforms that you do use. And I think Facebook is a good place to start. This recent update is one I'm particularly excited about. They're starting to allow Facebook pages to join Facebook groups.
Oh, so as a page, one of your limitations has always been that you couldn't talk to your community. You
Yes.
couldn't share information specifically to an audience because that would be creepy if Coca-Cola started putting content on my page or direct messaging me.
Yeah.
But now through groups I can do that.
Yeah. So the caveat with that is that the groups have to make a setting that pages can join their group, and then, like any other member of a group, they have to approve your membership, and they can also kick you out at any time if you start spamming people. But where this comes in handy is, let's say you are a neighborhood, like a Carmel Facebook group, and Indy Star North publishes the page publishes articles constantly about Carmel news. What the Facebook group can allow the Indy Star North to do is to come into their Facebook group and say, once a week or so, say, hey, here's everything that's happening in Carmel this weekend. So that can be, so Facebook pages can communicate more directly with their audiences. Another benefit of it is in this Facebook social algorithm hierarchy, it goes personal, pages posts, group posts, page posts. So it allows for pages to reach an audience where they might not have been able to before.
I think that you hit on a good example with the Indy Star is that community-based companies and organizations that are tied to a specific, logically to a specific group, are probably going to do very well.
Yeah.
Your local flooring company, unless it's a group of interior designers, is going to struggle to find an audience that wants them as part of their club.
Yeah.
So be realistic if you're looking at your company page to decide, is there a community, I guess, where you would fit?
So pivoting to Twitter, Twitter probably has my favorite update. The chronological timeline is back. So whereas before Twitter had kind of like ranked tweets, like, oh, lots of people are liking this tweet, I'm going to show it to you first, we're going back to Twitter's roots, where it's just, when was this thing tweeted? That's when it's going to show up in your timeline.
And if you're a longtime Twitter user, I love that because it is always kind of what's new, what's fresh. And if I have something as a page that I want to say, I can say it again 6 hours later. I will hit a different audience, but I'm not going to trip over myself because that other update was 6 hours ago in the timeline.
And the non-chronological timeline also had this annoying feature where it would show you what other users had liked. You would see, oh, this person liked this tweet. That's gone too, unless you actually click a button and decide you want that.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah.
Because,
Likes are not retweets.
Number one, likes are not retweets. I actually think that of all the changes that Twitter made, adding the like feature to me was probably the most destructive. Because in the old days, you had to decide, do I want to reshare this or not? And now I can get away with just liking it. It's kind of an anonymous thing. Nobody really sees it or knows it, so it doesn't perpetuate those good messages.
Exactly. And so, continuing with Twitter, they also probably have my least favorite update. The word is on the street is that they are allegedly testing a upvote and downvote feature, almost like Reddit. So you can definitely see the problems there with such a news-based platform as Twitter, with some people being able to rank tweets they either like or dislike.
Well, we're hoping that that goes away after the initial test.
Oh, I'm sure they will test it and immediately find out that it is a terrible idea.
One can only hope. Looks like we're just about out of time. Any last things that we should talk about, or is that a pretty good place to wrap?
I think it's a pretty good roundup of the very important social media updates out there. Social media changes every day constantly, so I'm sure by the time this video is over, 3 new things will have changed about these platforms we use.
Awesome. So, if you've enjoyed today's conversation, if you want to keep up with more changes on social media, definitely come back every Monday for an update here, and look for us on iTunes for the longer podcast version and our blog at roundpeg.biz. Thanks, guys. See you next week.